celebrate the good news of our point-in-time count, and who work closely together to make what I tell you possible. The COC, I just want to explain a little bit about the COC, is a board made up of representatives from the city, county staff, homeless service community organizations, health systems, persons with lived expertise, business representatives, who are all coming together to help coordinate and plan efforts to address the serious crisis of homelessness in our community. SSF is the lead entity that helps coordinate these services, oversees the federal resources that come to our community, and collects and reports data to inform our collective path forward. I'd like to give you a little bit of a background about the point-in-time count results and what the point-in-time count is. It's really a survey and a census that is conducted by communities across the country at least every other year. Here in Sacramento, we perform the count in January every other year with the help of hundreds of community members. This year, we did the count in January, and as we normally do after the count, we tabulate, analyze the results, and then report out as we're doing today. I want to emphasize to you that the news that you'll be hearing today is not the only way we collect data, but it is one measuring tool that enables us to compare how we're doing year after year. It provides insights into who is experiencing unsheltered homelessness and tracks trends that are helpful to our policymakers, implementers of homeless services, and the public in understanding the realities of being homeless and what we're doing to respond. Today's news should give you confidence that change is happening. So here's the big reveal. I'm pleased to report that overall homelessness on a given night decreased by 29% since 2022. We have an estimated 6,615 people who are experiencing homelessness, and that's down from our count in 2022. It's the first time we've had a drop in homelessness. And fueling that decrease is also a decrease in unsheltered homelessness. We're seeing a 41% decline with fewer people living on the street than in 2022. So that's great news. And it's important to keep these numbers in perspective. They are estimates, and they're a comparison of the number of people on a single night this year compared to a single night 2 years ago. Now, I know to some of you that may be surprising, but it does track with other sources of data we've been collecting, and it follows from a lot of advancements in services and investments that our city and county have made over the last few years. And of course, while it's a positive sign and we have reason to celebrate today, it doesn't mean we no longer have a crisis. We have a significant amount of work to do, but it is a good sign, and it shows that we are making progress on the investments and our coordination today. And as we absorb this news, I want to just take a moment to thank the hundreds of volunteers who came out on those 2 nights in January to conduct the count. It's truly a volunteer effort of an entire community of people, and we want to take another moment, in addition to thanking our volunteers, to applaud the leaders of the city and county for their leadership over the last few years. They've come together as never before in new ways. They're anchored by a joint city-county partnership agreement. They're making co-investments that have expanded outreach to people living on the street. They're providing more additional housing, shelter, and increased coordination for behavioral health services. There's more permanent supportive housing, like the complex that we're sitting here before today, which was a former motel site. Today, it is the home of 93 people who are living in housing and receiving supportive services from the Mental Health Services Act. None of this could have been done without everyone working together, the cities, the county, and the community organizations. And it takes a lot for us to get to this data. The PIT process is a 6-month-long effort, and it's overseen by the COC. And I can't thank the COC partners who are here today for their volunteer work throughout the year to ensure that we have an accurate and appropriate count. And here with me today is Angela Upshaw, the Chief Operating Officer of Insight Housing, who is also the chair of our COC. Insight Housing is a premier provider of services for veterans in our community. And I'd like to invite Angela to come up and share a bit about her perspective.
All right, thank you so much, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. I just want to give a great thanks and gratitude to Lisa and the entire Sacramento Steps Forward team, all of our hundreds of volunteers, our elected leaders, and the COC team that dedicate their time and their resources and their expertise to policies that have helped us to get to this point where we are today. It takes collaboration. We have to do this together. And the results that we see today are a combination of the resources that have been put into our community and the collaboration of all of our partners and the resources that we've made more accessible to our community. We know what it takes to address this crisis, and it's now time for us to celebrate the wins. We see this great improvement. This is definitely the right direction we want to go into, but we can't take our foot off the gas. We have to double down on what we know works, because we have a long ways to go. And until we can make homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring in our community, we're not done. But I want us to be celebrating all of the achievements that we've made. This is great progress. And just to give you a huge thanks to all those who were involved in these great efforts to get us to where we are today. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Next, we would like to be able to share a little bit more data about the point-in-time count. And so I'd like to introduce Dr. Trent Simmons, who is our HMIS, Homeless Management Information System, and Data Analytics Director. He, along with a national consultant, has overseen the methodology, the interpretation of the data, and ultimately the writing of a much more extensive report that can be found on our website at www.sacramentostepsforward.org. And so he's going to come up and share a little bit more information about what the point-in-time count reveals, but also share some additional factors that we believe help contribute to why this point-in-time count is an accurate and valid representation of the direction that our community is going. So, Dr. Simmons.
Hey everybody, there's really so much that I could share with you, but I want to make sure to give some space to the PIT report that was raised this morning. So, like Lisa mentioned, there's a 29% decrease in overall homelessness between the PIT count 2022 and the PIT count 2024. And for a moment, I'd like to get into the demographics of that group. First, when we look at household composition, we see that roughly 83% are adults without children, which leaves about 17% who are families with children. And as with the 2022 PIT count, race continues to be a very serious predictor in homelessness in our area. When we compare the PIT count population to the residential population for Sacramento County, we see that Black and African American individuals are 3 to 4 times more likely to experience homelessness. And we also see that American Indian, Alaska Native individuals are 5 to 6 times more likely. During the count, our volunteers had the opportunity to speak to our unhoused neighbors. And from those surveys, we learned quite a bit. We learned that 1 in 2 people were experiencing homelessness for the first time, and that 68% said that they had been homeless for at least 2 years, which means that the majority of the people we spoke to were homeless during the 2022 count. We also learned that a vast majority of people, 90%, had said that they had lived in Sacramento for at least 6 months, with the majority saying that they had lived here their entire lives. Finally, we learned that most people, 58%, point to affordable housing as the thing that would best help their situation. For the rest of the results, again, I'd like to point you to the PIT report, which was released this morning, for more trends and more demographics on these data. But in the meantime, I want to talk to you a bit more about our top line finding, and that is the 29% fewer people experiencing homelessness in our area. A 29% decrease is positive news, but our team wanted to dive in a little bit deeper and see if that passed the sniff test. And as we continue to look for other factors and see how those factors might have contributed to this decrease, what we find is somewhat of a convergence of data pointing to a decrease in that count. To start, our community has committed to greater collaboration and investments over the past few years. Through the partnership agreement, local homelessness action plan, and the coordinated access system, our community is committed to coordinating a response to homelessness. This also includes $120 million in California State HAP funding and grants, and additional funding through Project Home Key and Room Key that supported shelters, affordable housing, behavioral health services, and prevention efforts. And through these investments, our system's capacity has expanded significantly in recent years. Since 2020, we've seen an 84% increase in shelter beds and transitional housing beds. We've also seen a 25% increase in rapid rehousing slots and a 30% increase in permanent supportive housing units. Increased investments, coordination, and capacity lead to improved outcomes, and our system performance measures show that. Our community's homeless response system is enrolling more people annually, successfully exiting more people annually from street outreach programs, and connecting more people to permanent housing. And finally, the Sacramento area rental market has experienced a significant softening since 2022, which includes a 58% increase in vacancy rates and a 3% decrease in rental rates. These two factors become even more important when you consider that many scholarly articles point to rental rates and vacancy rates as being some of the strongest, if not the strongest predictors of homelessness across the U.S. So yes, we have seen a decrease in homelessness in Sacramento County, and that decrease stems from increased investments, greater coordination, improved homeless response system capacity and performance, and the softened rental market. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to have an opportunity to hear from our elected leaders in terms of what their response is to this great news. And so I'd like to start by introducing our chair for the Board of Supervisors, Patrick Kennedy. And I believe that Patrick Kennedy has been a tireless public servant and leader who has always been working toward the issues of solving homelessness, behavioral health, and other issues. He led efforts to start a health food task force, which resulted in enabling thousands of children, especially those from low-income households, to eat healthier. He's chaired Measure Q and R, which raised $410 million to improve schools and student health. He's proud to call his district home to two new safe stay communities, which will provide more than 165 shelter beds with wraparound services to those in need. And I will say that personally, as a front row seat to his commitment to Sacramento, having experienced working with him in the early days at the grassroots level when he was the Oak Park Project Area Committee member, to seeing his leadership on the No Place Like Home Advisory Committee at the state level. And in 2019, when I joined Sacramento Steps Forward, he championed bringing elected leaders together to form what is now the Sacramento Homeless Policy Council. So with no further ado, I'd like to invite Supervisor Kennedy.
Thank you, Lisa, particularly for reminding me that we're both old. Look, it's extremely encouraging to be here today as we don't celebrate, but we recognize where we've come with the point in time count. The county's made considerable investments over the years in new shelter models, mental health, substance use disorder programs, and as Lisa said, we have brought on hundreds of new tiny homes to get people off of the street, get them stabilized, get them into permanent housing. Hundreds in the district that I represent, with more to come. We've created new programs to keep people housed, like the Landlord Engagement Assistance Program to incentivize landlords and keep rents lower. Behavioral health has invested in more supports than ever before, and we cannot talk about homelessness without addressing behavioral health. We have more teams than ever that are connecting to people who are in encampments. Those teams are made up of social workers, rehousing navigators, and licensed clinicians. And they often are in these encampments shoulder to shoulder with our city county counterparts. We've, as Lisa said, embarked upon over the years a program, a partnership with the city of Sacramento like there's never been one before, because we recognize that pointing fingers does not lead us to success. Pointing fingers and scapegoating will not get people off the street. Only working together will. Look, years ago, there were many electeds that would say, oh, this problem's going to be solved in the next couple of years. Well, I knew that wasn't the case. This took us generations to get to where we are today. And it's taking all of these investments to get to where the point in time count is. However, make no mistake, at the county, we're not just throwing money at a problem. While we are making significant financial investments, the decisions that we are making are scientifically based, data-driven, and we're utilizing our learned experience. And I'm confident that if we stay down this road, 2 years from now, we will be here talking about another decrease in the point in time count. This is truly a good day. It's an exciting day in many ways, but it's also a somber day because while we are down 29%, we still have 6,000 people living in homelessness. So we have to keep our eye on the ball, we have to remain vigilant, and we have to continue our partnerships that we have formed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Kennedy, and for that reminder that we need to keep our eye on the ball and be very vigilant and continuing to see these decreases happen. It is now my honor to introduce to you the Mayor of Sacramento, Darrell Steinberg. Our mayor has been a lifetime leader, a public servant, dedicated to improving the lives of many. And I also have a story that's going to show our age about the mayor as well. I first met Mayor Steinberg when he was an incoming council member at a Tahoe Park tree planting event, of all things, while I was working as an intern for another council member. And I remember him asking me what my major was, because I was still in college, and my answer was international relations. And I recall his answer today still. He responded jokingly, well, that's no small undertaking. And I think that really sums up our mayor, a mayor willing to tackle the largest and most vexing issues of our time. He's never given up on addressing the humanitarian crisis of homelessness and mental health. During his time at the legislature, Steinberg authored Proposition 63, the Mental Health Services Act, which created a tax on millionaires to fund mental health services. MHSA is now a primary source of funding to provide behavioral health care and housing to our unhoused Californians. As a mayor, he secured significant new resources to tackle difficult problems such as homelessness and economic inequality. He campaigned for and won voter passage of Measure U, a new 1-cent sales tax, with the goal of investing in economic development, youth, and affordable housing. As a leader of the California big city mayors, he successfully negotiated with not one, but two governors, Governor Brown and Newsom, to make unprecedented statewide commitment to addressing homelessness that has brought millions of dollars to the Sacramento region. He's a huge advocate for updating these funds and using them for housing as well as behavioral health services. And as a long-term resident of Sacramento region, having lived in Elk Grove, the city of Sacramento, and now the county, I wish to thank Mayor Steinberg for your long and lasting contributions as a leader and your unrelenting push to do whatever it takes to bring people off the street into safety for this region.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I know sometimes that unrelenting push has annoyed people too. But all in pursuit of a good cause. There are so many thank yous here because this is and has been and will continue to be an incredible team effort. Let me thank Patrick Kennedy, the chair of the County Board of Supervisors, all the members, and your incredible staff for your hard work and for partnering with us, your city partners, especially always, but especially over these last couple of years as we have worked so hard together to achieve these results. Thank you. We couldn't do it without you. I want to thank my colleagues who are standing with me here, because this, in every district of our city, this is the top priority. And my colleagues have worked unrelentingly in their districts and citywide to help bring us to this day. And so to Katie Valenzuela, who's represented the Central City, where it has been especially hard, thank you for believing and never giving up. Rick Jennings, thank you. Coach, for always being not only the voice of reason, but helping bring us together, and Eric Guetta as well. Look what's happening in South Sacramento along Stockton Boulevard, in part because of your and Supervisor Kennedy's leadership, and my other colleagues who wanted to be here today, Councilmember Kaplan and Councilmember Tao, and Vice Mayor Maple and Councilmember Talamantes, and Councilmember Vang. Am I leaving anybody out? I think I got it. And to our incredible city staff, because you talk about partnership, it's partnership between the city and county. It's also partnership between the elected officials and our appointed officials, led by our great city manager, Howard Chan, our police chief, Kathy Lester, our assistant city manager who drew the short lot in terms of his portfolio here, Mario Lara, and the head of the Department of Community Response, Brian Pedro, and your entire DCR team. A thank you to SHRA. I see Christine Weichert is here because they've been a big part of all of this as well. And to my team, my staff, Mary Lynn Valinga, and everyone who has worked so hard on this issue with me over the last 7 years. And Lisa, to you and Sacramento Steps Forward, you have and continue to be the glue here. Because it's not just about the capacity, it's about the systems changes. And thank you. And to our providers represented here, thank you, because, we appropriate the money and we do the policy, but you are the ones on the front lines that are actually doing the work, that are bringing people in, that are treating people, and that are helping them. And so a big debt of gratitude to all of our providers. And to all who have been deeply engaged in this 7-year fight to make homelessness better. As Supervisor Kennedy said, today is not a declaration of victory, but it does represent major progress. Maybe homelessness is not so intractable after all. A 41% reduction, and that's the number I like to lead with, in unsheltered homelessness is dramatic. And it affirms that our community is headed in the right direction on the most heartbreaking and difficult issue of our time. There are many reasons for this astounding result. For 7 grueling years, the city and the county have sometimes struggled, that's no secret, but have steadily built the capacity to be able to offer more people a safe and a dignified choice, shelter and housing, and the services that so many people need. The most important numbers in this report may not be the headline of 41% reduction or 29% overall reduction in homelessness. It's the following numbers that the doctor alluded to earlier that make the 41% number possible. An 84% increase since 2020 in the number of shelter and traditional housing beds in the city and county, from 1,611 to 3,527. A 25% increase in rapid rehousing slots, a 30% increase in permanent housing slots, over 1,000 units additional since 2020, a 68% increase in the number of people sheltered between 2020 and 2023. 7,360 people sheltered in 2023 alone. A 39% increase in permanent housing placements since 2022. And this one really got me. A 45% reduction in the number of chronically homeless people since 2022. Almost a 50% decrease. Wow. Without declaring victory, because as Supervisor Kennedy said, there are still too many people on our streets. And as Lisa Bates said, until homelessness is both brief and rare, we can't have a full celebration. But these numbers and the people they represent is worth celebrating. We must not let up. I know I won't in my remaining months, and neither will the colleagues standing behind me, both the elected officials and the staff. We must continue to strengthen this groundbreaking partnership between the city and the county to ensure that more people get the shelter, the housing, and the services that so many desperately need. Finally, a personal reflection, if I might, for a moment. There have been many critics and many doubters over these tough 7 years. Years, of course, which included a once-in-a-century pandemic and a national affordable housing crisis. Critics and doubters come with the territory. It's what we all signed up for. Today's news, I hope, teaches us all some very important lessons. It is the work that matters. In fact, it's the only thing that matters. The easy solutions, whether they be lawsuits or initiatives, largely born out of frustration and sometimes the politics of anger, do not create a single bed, a single housing unit, a single treatment plan, nor a single broken up encampment. Success requires setting a vision. It requires collaboration, and it requires endless persistence through all of the ups and downs and all of the noise. Only those qualities and those commitments will bring us more results like the results we are happily reporting today. There are more people to help. There are more neighborhoods and business corridors who need relief. I remember saying 7 years ago that if we committed to a consistent course of action, it might take some time, but that homelessness need not be hopelessness. I believe that 7 years ago, and I believe that even more today. Thank you to all who helped make this day happen.
Thank you, Mayor Steinberg. We do want to conclude with having one more guest come up and speak. And I think it's important that we all know why we're here and why we're doing this hard work. And so I'd like to introduce to you to Tara Jones, who's a 22-year-old resident of Sacramento Central Studios. And she's here to tell you a little bit about her story and how she came to become a resident here in this complex.
Hi, my name is Tashira Jones. I'm 22 years old, speaking today to express my deepest gratitude for the support and assistance provided to me during a particularly difficult. Hi guys, my name is Tashira Jones. I'm 22 years old, speaking today to express my deepest gratitude for the support and assistance provided to me during a particularly difficult chapter in my life. At 19 years old, due to struggles at home, I found myself in a dire situation where I was homeless on the streets of Sacramento, trying to make ends meet while sleeping in my car with my loyal companion, my dog. In a daunting period of uncertainty and vulnerability, and I felt lost and alone in the vast city. However, fate took a turn when I was connected with Win Youth. They promptly linked me with a vital services aimed to helping me regain my footing and rebuilding my life. After a year of unwavering support and guidance from the dedicated team at Win Youth, I was blessed with the support to move into Central Sacramento Studios, a place that has since become not just a roof over my head, but a significant stepping stone towards a brighter future. I wish to extend my heartfelt appreciation to my compassionate case managers at Life Steps, Ms. Shira and Mr. Xavier, and the exceptional property management whose unwavering availability and attentiveness has made a world difference in my journey. Their willingness to lend an ear, offer guidance, and swiftly address my concerns I have had instilled has instilled in me since a sense of security and belonging. The remarkable staff members handpicked by Miss Alex, regional manager, exhibited unparalleled levels of empathy and dedication, always ready to assist residents in navigating any challenges they may have. In this newfound sanctuary, I feel not just safe, but truly at home, surrounded by a supportive community and that genuinely cares about me. I am profoundly grateful to the city for spearheading such a transformative project that offers a lifeline to individuals like me who simply require an extra hand to navigate through turbulent times.
Thank you, Tashira. You are really the reason why we do this work. And I think this is a good reminder to us all that we should never forget or give up on people as we are doing this very important work. It's also a reminder of how much commitment we have within our community with our community-based organizations and the support that they're able to provide people on a daily basis. I just want to conclude by, again, thanking everyone and the wonderful work that has been done to date. We know that this is not a sprint, as the mayor said. We have to invest in the actual work and do the work. Sometimes it's challenging and hard, but if we stay focused on the vision, which I will say is now your regional regional coordinated homelessness action plan, that's the vision with 55 actions contained in it. We need to stay accountable to that work. We need to continue to invest at all levels. Hopefully the state will continue investing, but certainly the federal and our local budgets as well. And with that, I'd be happy to moderate for a few questions, Q&A, and then individuals can be available after. So at this point, we're available for questions.
What, just for anyone, any comments on the fact that out on the streets we still see a lot of encampments and it doesn't always feel like the count's going down? Any comments on that?
The question is, there still appears to be some visibility of people who are unsheltered, and how does that relate to the point in time account?
Well, as I said, today is not a declaration of victory. It represents significant progress, but there's still a long way to go. And so long as there are any encampments on the streets in our city and or our county, we have to have the same intensity, the same commitment, the same level of resources. We're in the middle of a budget negotiation now over at the Capitol around the homeless assistance program known as HAP. And we're hoping for the sixth round for $1 billion so that we can sustain the number of beds we have and hopefully find more resources to be able to grow them. But the work isn't done. That's the answer.
And sorry, what I meant more eloquently is,
okay.
What about the people who think maybe the count is not accurate because of what they're seeing on the streets?
Well, I trust in Lisa Bates and Sacramento Steps Forward in the same way that I had to reluctantly agree with Count when it went up. I mean, you live with the tough news, and you celebrate the good news and the progress. And the methodology is sound, and there's no question. I know that people, because we hear a lot. One of the things we hear now is that things feel a little bit better on the streets, that the encampments are a little less, and so that reflects some of the public sentiment as well.
And similar to what Teresa asked, but just for, say, the business community, which has come forward with news conferences similarly attended
I want to
to
take
this.
this one.
Yeah, I think we've had members come forward and say that not as enough is being done on behalf of businesses.
So there's a thing we always talk about, a thought bubble, right? Which is what you're thinking, and maybe you shouldn't always say what you're thinking. So I won't. Instead, I will say the following. The business community needs to be more of the solution. Complaining only gets us so far. That's what I referred to earlier when I talked about initiatives and lawsuits. It's a lot of noise. In the meantime, the people here are doing a lot of work that's adding thousands of beds to the city and county's capacity, that's allowing us to give people a choice and bring more people in. Don't complain without a solution. And by the way, it is not a good thing for the city, or especially civic leaders, and the business leadership or civic leaders, to constantly be tearing down the city and the county. It's not a good thing. Come downtown on the weekends here. Look at all the music festivals. Look at all the good times. Look at how hard it is to get a reservation, to get a to sit down at one of our great restaurants. Start talking up this city. We're not ignoring the problems. Are you kidding me? We've spent nothing but most of a decade working on this, and we're making progress. Be part of the solution. I don't want to hear, and I don't think my colleagues want to hear complaints that don't come with what you would do differently to make it better. And I hope that today there might be a tweet or two or an email or two that says, hey, good work, everybody. We may be actually going in the right direction. Enough.
So I know we started late, and I think we can go ahead and probably conclude, and we're all available for individual questions and interviews. Thank you. Appreciate you being here.